Label your review Chapter 6 quiz review. And then make sure you guys put your name on it in case it gets lost or misplaced. Now the quiz has 12 questions. 6 of them are equations, and then the other 6 are inequalities with graphing. So on one side of the paper we're going to do all of the equations, and then when we flip it over we'll do all of the inequalities. Okay? And you can use this paper on the quiz, you can use it to study from, just don't lose it. So number 1, the first problem I'm going to give you is x minus 10 equals 12. It's a fairly simple problem because we're subtracting. In order to isolate the variable, we have to add 10 to both sides. So x will equal 22. Now, of course, you can check all of your work on the quiz. That guarantees you get 100%. So if you plug back in 22 for x, 22 minus 10 is 12. You'll have plenty of time to check on the quiz, so I recommend you do that every time. Any questions on number 1? Okay, number 2. Negative 4x equals negative 12. Since negative 4 is the coefficient, it's multiplying x, we need to divide the negative 4 out to get x by itself. So when we have a negative 12 and a negative 4, we're going to get a positive 3. Good. And now we can plug it back in to make sure. So we would do negative 4 times 3, and yes, that does equal negative 12. Any questions on that one? So you can see it's going to be a fairly simple quiz, right? Simple problems. Okay, number 3. Negative 1.5 plus x equals 4. Negative 1.5 plus x equals 4. We need to isolate x, so that means we need to add 1.5 to both sides. So x equals 5.5. And again, you can plug it back in. Negative 1.5 plus 5.5 should equal 4. Any questions on that one? So when you see a minus sign here, you need to add. That would make this 0 and isolate the variable. Okay, number 4. 1/4 x equals 10. 1/4 x equals 10. So we did a bunch of these earlier where we multiply by the reciprocal. So in a sense, all you're doing is you're taking 4 and you're multiplying it by 10. So x equals 40. And you can plug it back in. 1/4 of 40 is 10. 40 divided by 4, or 1/4 of 40 is 10. Any questions on that one? Again, these are a lot like the ones on your quiz. I'm just barely changing the numbers a tiny bit. The setup is the same, okay? Okay, number 5. Negative 22 equals 2k. How do I solve for k? Divide by 2. So this would be negative 11 equals k. And if that bothers you, you can rewrite it as k equals negative 11. If we plug it back in, negative 22 has to equal 2 times negative 11, and that works. Any questions on that one? Who's feeling good about the quiz right now? Yeah, 100%. All right, number 6. Negative 5x equals negative 26.5. We need to solve for x. This is multiplying, so we have to divide by negative 5. And x will now equal a positive 5.3. And you can plug it back in, negative 5 times 5.3. And that does equal negative 26.5. So again, the first half of the quiz, the first 6 questions look just like this. It's just solving equations. You can plug it back in and check every time. So I'm going to write some notes on the bottom here. So the first note I want you to understand is you have to show your work. When you show your work, you will automatically get 1 point. Even if your solution is incorrect, you'll still get a point for showing your work. If you don't show work and you get it right, I'm going to take off a point. So make sure you show your work on every single problem. And then if you have the correct answer, you also get a point. Okay? And then finally, you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea to check your solution. If you want to guarantee that 100%, check your solution. Every time. See, I did it. It didn't take very long to check it. And a lot of you guys won't even write it out. You'll just plug it back into a calculator or do this in your brain. And you can at least just do a quick mental check. Question?
So what if you get the answer wrong? Do you still get a point?
Yes. If you show your work, you get a point. Okay? So let's say that like on number 6, you got the wrong answer, but you had this shown right here. You're going to get 1 point. If you have both the correct answer and the work, then you get your full 2 points. Okay? But if you just put 5.3 and you did not write here what you did, I'm only giving you 1 point. You actually need to draw the line and show me that you're dividing. Yes?
So if you get it wrong and you show your work, you have 1 point. And if you get it right but don't show your work, you still only have 1 point.
Exactly. So in order to get the 100%, you have to show work and get it right. Okay, let's flip this over and we'll do the inequalities. Okay, so number 7. And really the inequalities aren't any more challenging. I guess just the graphing part might be challenging, but I'll walk you through that. So we have x plus 4 is less than 5. How do we solve for x? We subtract 4 from both sides. X is now less than 1. Okay? Now on these ones you'll have to show work, get the correct answer, and graph, which means there's 3 points involved. So the best way to graph it, and by the way on the quiz I'll have little graphs for you. So put a 0 and put a 1. And is this an open or closed circle?
Open.
Good. It's open because it doesn't have the or equal to. And now look at this inequality. It's pointing to the left. It's pointing to the x, right? So if this is pointing left, that means your arrow is going left. Okay? And that only works if your variable is on this side. Yep. And then you can check it. Like, what's less than 1? Well, 0 is less than 1. Is this going towards 0? Yes. All right, number 8. We have negative 5x is greater than negative 25. How do I solve for x? Divide by negative 5, right? What happens when you divide by a negative?
You have to switch the...
Good. You switch the direction of the inequality. So switch the arrow, and this becomes a positive 5. So when we graph it, we have 0, we have 5, open or closed circle? Open. The arrow is pointing left towards the x, so that means this arrow also goes left. So you guys see how you can match your arrows here and here? It's kind of nice, right? Okay? Alright, number 9. We have x over negative 4 is greater than 5. How do I get rid of that negative 4? Multiply by the reciprocal, or you can just cross multiply, right? But I do need to change the arrow because that's negative that I'm multiplying by. So flip the arrow and then multiply, so you get negative 20. When we graph it, We have 0, negative 20, open circle again, and which direction does my line go?
Downward.
Left, because look at it, it's pointing to the X again, so you can just match it up. Alright? Don't forget that you're flipping that arrow though. Number 10. Negative 2w is less than negative 6. See how simple these problems are? These are not big numbers, are they?
No.
So we divide by negative 2. Do I have to flip the arrow? Yeah, I divided by a negative. So that's w is greater than 3. Draw your graph, 0, 3, open, circle, left or right?
Right.
Right, look, it's pointing to the right,
Right.
so it goes to the right. Any questions so far? Is the graphing making more sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 11. X plus 4.6 is less than negative 6.6. How do I solve for x? Subtract.
4.6.
Good. Subtract 4.6. Now this is where I could see some people making mistakes because you get these two negatives here. When you get the two negatives and you're subtracting, really you're just adding the opposite. So it's x is less than, and then you add these together, but keep it negative. So that's 11.2. Okay, so you add the two numbers together and keep it negative when you have two negatives. It's the same thing as saying negative 1 minus 2, right? Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So same idea. You add them up and keep it negative. And now we can graph it. We didn't have to switch any arrows because we're not multiplying or dividing. So this is negative 11.2. Open circle, left or right?
Left.
Good. So look at this arrow. It's going left. So we can go left. All right. Any questions on that? Number 12. Last one. Negative 30 is less than negative 12 plus n. How do I isolate the n?
Plus 12.
Plus 12. Good. We add 12. So now n's all by itself. Negative 30 plus 12 is negative 18 is less than n. Now notice this one's different because my variable is on the right hand side. I can rewrite that. In fact, I would suggest you would, so that it's on the left hand side, because then when I graph it, it's much easier. So if it's opening up to n, I have to make sure that I rewrite it opening up to n. Okay, so basically it's just a mirror image. And now when I graph it, what direction will my arrow go? Yeah, so you can see how if you rewrite it, then you can just follow that direction of the arrow. Okay, so some notes on this. Put a star, and we're going to have the negative rule, which means we flip the arrow, right? That's on number 8, 9, and 10. Don't forget that. And then you can write yourself another note about graphing. So graphs, arrows, match when the variable is on the left. Okay, maybe you write yourself like, be careful on number 12. And number 12 on the quiz will be just like that. Okay? And number 8, 9, and 10 will be just like that with the negative rule. And then did you notice that there's no closed circles? There's no or equal to's? Yeah, it's the same on the quiz. So you don't have to worry about shading it in or anything. Question?
Yeah. Can we use this on the test?
Yeah, use this on the quiz. You can use your notes and things like that too, but I would definitely keep, this would be like your golden paper, right? Don't lose it.